current reserves are at about a 2.3 billion, of which, when you take the swap out, it's about a 1.6 billion. I mean, you know the reality, the writing is on the wall. If you have to advise the president today, what advice would you give him?
As a country, we have certain obligations that need to be sorted out, right? So I think the first payment on sovereign bonds was $500 million. The country paid that. The next payment coming up is $1 billion in July. And I think I'm very confident that the government or the central bank will actually meet that as well, right? Then I think comes the situation of, what's going on, right? How can this be sustained, and how far can we sustain ourselves? And I think it's to that end that there's a lot of work that's being done by the central bank, I think mainly, and other authorities in terms of trying to restructure our outflows. Right now, all these payment guarantees and buying things on credit, etc., what they're enabling is for our outflows to be kind of staggered, so that our inflows, whether they come from tourism or anything else or some other bilateral arrangement, are structured or matched to meet the outflows. Right? So I think what we need is to make sure that within the next maybe 6 to 8 months, that this inflow-outflow situation can be matched. Right? Otherwise, I think if it cannot be matched, then you need to go to someone like the IMF, for example, for their assistance. So I think the devil is in the detail.
Welcome to another session in the series of Meeting an Expert. As Asia Pacific Institute of Information Technology, as also known as APIT Sri Lanka, we are honored to host this event today and this session today with another veteran from the corporate world, especially in a time where we are having discussions on many challenges, global challenges, and how to overcome them. So let me warmly welcome all our students who are in the platform and all the members who are joining us from partner universities and foreign delegates and diplomats who are joining us from all around the world today, along with all our distinguished guests. So to start with, let me bring you greetings from our chairman of APIT Sri Lanka, Mr. Bandula Egodage. APIT inspires love for learning in our students by bringing the networking opportunities for them to continue lifelong learning. This effort of webinar series is hosted with the leadership of Dr. Rohan Tatukorala to engage our students with the global platform. So I'm thankful to the speaker today, Mr. Iftikar Ahamed, for spending his valuable time to share experience with our students, and wish you all the very best and have a pleasant and fruitful session today. So that is indeed wishes and expressions from our chairman of APIT Sri Lanka, Mr. Bandula Egodage. So to start off with the session, let me now invite Dr. Rohan Tatukorala, Head of Graduate School of APIT Sri Lanka, to lead the session by introducing our speaker of the day. Dr. Rohan, over to you.
Thank you very much, Kaushali, and it's actually a real honor to introduce one of the top corporate personalities of Sri Lanka. He was appointed as Managing Director of SoftLogic Life Insurance PLC in 2014. He's the head of the financial service sector of the SoftLogic Group and serves as the Managing Director of SoftLogic Capital PLC, which is the holding company of the financial service sector. He also serves as the Director of SoftLogic Stockbrokers Private Limited, SoftLogic Corporate Services Private Limited, and SoftLogic Asset Management Private Limited. Under his leadership, SoftLogic Life has introduced new ethos to the market and has grown rapidly to become a force to be reckoned with in the insurance industry. The company is considered to be the fastest growing insurer in the country, having had a consistent growth of over 10 years with a 28.8% 10-year CAGR category growth versus a 12.7% industry category growth at 2020. Iftikar holds 3 decades of banking experience in a wide range of positions with the financial services industry and has extensive banking experience both in Sri Lanka and overseas. He has previously held senior management positions of Deputy Chief Executive Officer of Nations Trust Bank PLC and Senior Associate Director of Deutsche Bank AG. Ladies and gentlemen, Iftikar Ahmed, Managing Director, Softlogic Life Insurance PLC, and the Managing Director of Softlogic Capital PLC. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rohanta. It is my pleasure to come on this program, and it's because of you. Because I don't know whether you remember, many years ago, you were one of the lecturers who inspired us on our MBA program, and I think we learned a lot there, and we've, as a result of that, also perhaps achieved a lot. And so, thank you for all that from the past. And as a result of that, very happy to be here on this program and to do a short session with the audience. So, hello everybody. I'm Iftikar Ahamed. You already got the introduction. So what I'm going to see is whether I can hold your attention for the next maybe 20 to 30 minutes or so, and share my thoughts and insights on the topic of managing in turbulent times. So as we all know, the last 2 years, 2020 and 2021 have been unprecedented. And these have been very, very difficult times, right? As far as we can remember, yes, Sri Lanka had all the issues with the Northeast conflict and terrorism. But after that, we thought we were okay. But then along came COVID. And as a result of that, things were very, very difficult, right? So what I've done is I've put down some slides, and I hope you can start to see them coming on the screen. We can go to the next slide on this one. And so what I've tried to do is bring down this whole practice of managing in tough times to about 4 different principles or percepts, if you like, so that it is then clear and it is very evident of how one could face turbulence and how a company can basically come out of it. Now, what I'm going to do is relate this to insurance and Softlogic Life, because I think as a study or as a case study, it is something that is quite unique. And as we go along, you'll perhaps also join me in seeing how things have happened and how success has been achieved in turbulent times. Point number 1 is believe, focus, execute. I think it is very important when things get tough and when you're not sure where you're going, to believe in your business. This is very, very important. And I think belief is where you look around and find out, and you ask yourself the question, if this company was not there today, would someone then create it, right? And you need to then believe that that was the reason why your company or your business has started and how it has been established. And it's based on that then that you believe that there is a reason why you're around, and there's a reason why you need to be there. So in our case, in Softlogic Life's case, it is essentially about health insurance and life insurance. Our business is to basically protect people. And as you heard in the introduction, we have run this business very successfully for the last 5 to 10 years. And then comes along COVID in 2020. So as you can see here on this graph, and this is, I think, one of the best examples of how a recovery can be engineered. Come March and then April, I think March 20th was the day when March 20th, 2020, when the first lockdown came. And as you can see, as a result of that, the business goes, splashing down, right? During the next couple of months, I think we lost about 30 to 40% of our book, right? Because people didn't know what to expect. There was a lockdown, there was utter confusion. People were trying to work from home, technology was being set up, etc., etc. And so then the next 3 months was utter chaos. And when things started to open up, I think it is very important then to understand what the next step is. And that is where I bring in the point of focus, right? Now, when you are in this situation, it is important to understand what you are going to do next. Now, at the point that we were, there was no point in trying to build a business at that point. At that point, the main focus was to basically revive or regain what had been lost. So we spent the next 3 to 4 months, basically all policyholders who had not paid premiums, who were nearing cancellation, etc., going back to them, putting the entire focus of our sales force on actually recovering the business that we had lost during those during those 3 to 4 months. And as you can see from the graph here, we managed to get that done. I think there was almost 30-40% drop, but we recovered that back come August, September, thereabouts. From that point onwards, then we knew that we can now start to look ahead again. And then we wanted to once again start to build our business and try and get back on the original trajectory that we had. Now, the graph that we see here is for the main line of business that we have, which is basically the agency channel. We have about 3,000 agents in the field who sell life and health insurance solutions daily. And so come fourth quarter, we essentially managed to get back. For the year 2020, we managed a 25% growth, right? Despite COVID-19 coming and hitting us in 1 and maybe 2 waves during that year. And in the following year, 2021, you can see how the business has now recovered, right? And every month, there is consequentially a growth in the business. So you need to believe, when you're in trouble, you need to believe, you need to focus on what has to be done. And then what's very, very important is that you need to execute your plan to make sure that you get out of the situation, right? So that's my first mantra.
Ifti, we can't hear your voice.
Guys, I'm not muted. I hope you can hear me.
Can hear now, Ifti. Thank you.
All right, fine. Can Deepti move the all right, fine. Okay, great. So now we're on slide 2. And the second percept or the second mantra here is, in every problem, in every issue, there normally comes along a silver lining, right? And this silver lining, it's very important to first look for that silver lining. So you need to seek that silver lining. And the next thing is to actually seize that silver lining with both hands, or with all the resources at hand. And when it comes to, once again, our business of health and life insurance, obviously as a result of the pandemic, what happened was that in previous times, insurance companies used to literally spend millions and millions of US dollars, right, in trying to create awareness of the risks of health and life insurance. And here comes a pandemic, which puts these risks front and center for everybody to become aware of, and for everybody to be kind of shocked into awareness that these risks are very, very real. So this is something that that came about, and this enabled the realization of risks, enabled the business to once again gain traction and pick up. And in the meantime, because the economy was being impacted very badly as a result of COVID. We all know that the central bank very aggressively reduced the market interest rates. So lending rates, deposit rates, all these the interest rates came down drastically. And obviously, the reason to bring interest rates down was to stimulate the economy by stimulating credit and the demand for loans. And so when it comes to the insurance part of how insurance is connected to the loans, in a number of banks, there is a requirement that if you go for a loan, that you also need an insurance cover uh, in, in respect to that loan. And because the number of disbursements of these loans started increasing with interest rates coming lower, and not only were new loans being given, but previous loans were also being rescheduled and being topped up. That means high amounts of money were being lent, and that required an insurance product by the name of Credit Life to be tagged to these loans, and that gave SoftLogic Life a tremendous boom in terms of volume because we were one of the key players in that particular market. So percept number 2, seek and seize the silver lining. It will always be there. You just need to look for it, and you need to get and make the maximum out of it. We can go to the next slide. Okay. Technology is an enabler, right? And this I say with my whole heart. And gone are the days when technology is something that you need a solution, you call an IT team, or you call an IT developer, you try to buy a package, or you try to buy a solution, or you try to plug in a new module into an existing situation. That's now, I think, history, right? Technology is part of the business, right? When you plan your business, you have to plan it hand in hand with technology, because technology is so very important in terms of how you access customers, how you deliver solutions, how you gain information, etc., 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 right? So without technology to succeed, and without having the right type of technology, and by right type of technology, what we mean today is it is not very expensive. It is very affordable. It is very accessible. And that is the technology that is actually required in order to get your business to deliver its deliverables. It's what is required for your business to deliver to your customers what they require. So when it comes to SoftLogic Life, we are now a full digital company. So if we take all our sales advisors, I mentioned about 3,000 of them. All of them have a device. They send us proposals on the device, including customer signatures, which are on digital. We process these all without any paper being involved. And so that's the whole underwriting part of the business. And when it comes to claims, once again, we are enabling claims to be submitted also digitally. And I think what is very, very interesting is that we are developing a solution using AI and artificial intelligence, machine learning, where if you submit to us a particular invoice, that invoice can then read the medicines, for example, that have been given for for a health related bill. It can go back and check the illnesses which are covered under your policy. It can then read from that into the limits that are available for each of these ailments. And it can also integrate automatically into the payment system and make a payment, a safe payment to your bank account. And the whole transaction can be settled without any human intervention. And we have currently about 30 to 40% of our volume actually going in this manner. And we want to take it maybe to about 75, 80%. The balance 20% are much more complex cases, and that will yet need to be processed manually. But I think the point that I want to make here is that without technology, without having access to the correct type of technology, which is not the serious, high-fangled stuff. And these are now very simple things. These are applications, these are APIs, this is how you link into a bigger infrastructure. It is those things that are required and absolutely essential to make your business meaningful. We can go to the next one. Right. Final slide. And here, what I need to emphasize is that at the end of the day, an organization or an institution is a team, right? So in your team, you need to make sure that you have the correct people on board, you have the correct attitudes on board, and you have the correct technical talent on board. As a leader of this team, you don't need to know everything, right? That is absolutely not necessary, right? When you have people in your team, may it be finance, marketing, actuarial, anything, right? HR, they are the people who are the technical experts in their respective areas, right? And if you pick the correct team, and if you allow them to actually perform and allow them to do their job, you will find that the freedom to actually work and create and innovate by themselves actually brings about fantastic results. So you see here a few things that our teams have won. So if you take finance, we have probably the gold in the insurance sector for sure, but a joint second in the overall, along with all the top conglomerates of the country, firms like John Keel's, Commercial Bank, etc. And SoftLogic Life is a standalone insurance company, right? So similarly, when it comes to marketing, right? We've carried away, I think, Service Brand of the Year about 2 years ago in just a space of 3 years, right? And not only what you see on screen, but in every other area of the organization, all our heads of departments or the team leaders have actually delivered, and they have energized their teams. They have got them to produce and do the best, and all of that coming together has given the company a huge boost. And also, it at the end of the day, it's a very proud thing when your team, when your brand is seen in the public eye and is known for good things, for great things, for achieving things in difficult times, and for coming out on top, right? So I think those are the kind of thoughts I wanted to frame with regard to this talk. And I'm very happy to do some Q&A on anything that has been mentioned so far, or anything further that we would like to talk about. I hope that's okay.
Thank you very much, Iftikar Ahmed. It was amazing how you conceptualize the change that happened in the industry during the pandemic, and the kind of strategies that you empowered in terms of actually driving above industry average. I mean, really great, because the other day I was interviewing actually my former boss from the UN, Francois Jacob. She's based in Serbia. She's the country head for Serbia for the UN.
Right.
And what she was saying, if it was very interesting, she was saying that 90% of the leaders globally have not been able to grapple with the variables that they were attacking.
Right.
And her logic was that unless a leader of a country has been trained over time conceptually with a solid education background, you cannot grapple with the situation, because the variables that are hitting you is changing life totally. Now if when I listened to you, I found that you are totally on top of the game. You understood conceptually what the issue was. You knew with your experience what you had to do, and of course the result speaks to itself. So I think just like what Francois was saying, was that it's a new set of leaders that have emerged in the country. So you see a new breed. Gone are the days where you have ABC companies continuously being featured, but you have a new set of leaders that have come out who have been shown that it's the toughest waters that brings out the best surfers.
Absolutely. So actually, Rohanta, just to mention now, even as far as the team is concerned, the SoftLogic Life team is concerned. Now, for example, our CFO Nuan, our head of marketing Kavi, since these two have been in the limelight recently. I mean, they are young guys. They are early 30s, right? This is their first, role, first job in terms of these positions. This is the first time they're holding them, right? Yeah. And they are, they're taking everything that's in front of them and grasping it with both hands and achieving great success. So that's a really great feeling.
In fact, it's very strange, but when I recommended Kavi's name at this Women in Management World Bank judging, nobody knew her. Nobody knew. Yeah. And then when they went through the profile, and then they looked at the profile and they said, wow, she's worthy. And there was, you had all the top contenders fighting for this position every year because it's a World Bank or state kind of award. Yeah. So it was, I think, a big win for SoftLogic. It's a huge win. It just shows that it has the correct leadership and it is getting the correct kind of traction. So, but the first question coming is from a guy called Gayan who works at Brandix. Actually, he's saying, you're a banker by profession. Your whole life has been in banking. What made you select insurance as a career?
Yeah, so actually I didn't select insurance. It so happened that after banking, I joined the SoftLogic group, and we wanted to invest into financial services. And so when we looked at the kind of portfolio that we wanted to have, insurance was obviously one of the things that we felt we needed. And we bought SoftLogic bought Asian Alliance at that time. So I think because we also at that time paid quite a pretty penny for the company, and in terms of valuation, there were a lot of people asking us, is that the valuation that we should be paying? So I think for our 51%, we paid something like 2.3 billion. So if you look at what that value is today, I think we have done some hard work, we've done some great work, and set up a company in a very sustainable, on a very strong footing. But to answer the question, why insurance? I think the reason for me to look at this role on a day-to-day basis is when I sort of looked around, because I used to go for management meetings and, I interact with the people, I realized that it was so, the same old thing was being done year after year, right? And I felt that a lot of things that could be changed. So coming from a different industry, I used to ask all the questions, why this, why can't we do it that way? Why can't we do it the other way? One very interesting conversation was on claims. So I asked him, how many claims do you get for a day? So, 10 claims. So I said, why can't, 5 of us sit around a table and do this in an hour, 2 hours, right? So all the claims will be paid, right? Things like that. And I think step by step, I think the next thing was to basically hire the team. And also when hiring the team, we made sure that we didn't get people from the same industry, right? So for example, marketing came from FMCG, a couple of other guys came from telco, different industries. And with that, we started to transform the whole the company and the industry. And I think that's basically also paid very good, very rich dividends as far as we are concerned. Rohant?
If the one issue that a youngster has is that, the guy gets up in the morning. Now we have about like 400 students studying the MBA in different platforms from different perspectives. Some are in year 1, some are in year 2, some are studying from Singapore, some are studying from Seychelles, there's somebody studying from Switzerland, there are guys who are joining from UAE, there are a whole set of people. So, right. But if you take Sri Lanka, one of the problems there is from the morning you get up, it's all negative data. You read the newspapers, nobody knows actually whether there's a power cut today or not. Nobody has done a computation to find out what the oil level is. And, today in the evening, can I have a management meeting online? I mean, it's tough, So in this kind of a background, if this hints that you're an outstanding uh, CEO, managing director of a company that has proven the mettle during hard times, what is your advice to a youngster?
Yeah. So I think, Rohanta, it's very simple, and this is what we tell the team in office as well. Shut out the negativity, right? If you want to get something done, right, you can get it done, right? And you need to find solutions to overcome the obstacles, right? So, for example, if there's a power cut at what time, you do your meeting before, do your meeting after, or come early, go early, whatever those things are, right? But most importantly is, I think, you need to believe in what you are doing and the success of and being able to make a success of what you're doing. Because if you believe in that, then you will focus on that, right? And then you will not focus on everything else that is negative that is going on around you, right? So, so now, right now, there is no gas, there's a forex issue, etc., right? So we say, okay, now even forex issue, the insurance industry is impacted because our reinsurance remittances can't go out on time, right? So what to do? It's in a queue, right? So you put them in contact with number of banks and you wait for basically the queue to clear. You explain to your reinsurance, say, look, we've had a relationship for the last 15, 20 years, right? This is the first time you're seeing this, so be patient. This will get resolved. And he said, okay, I'll give you time, no problem. And then, that particular item is addressed in that way. So like that, one by one, you go to those issues and you have to put a positive spin on it, and you have to know that if you are able to address all this, that you can basically come out on top, you can basically win this game. So we do not focus on anything that is negative. We just keep going at our goals, right? If there is an issue, let's sort it out, or just go around it or overcome it, so that we can get to the objective and the target that we want.
Very interesting question coming from Lalit from Commercial Credit. He's saying the penetration of the insurance is around 10%. And because of the pressure on the household income, will it have an impact on behavior change?
Right. Sure. So it's like this. At the end of the day, disposable income is a very important factor in terms of insurance penetration, right? But I think what we need to look at is the overall trend in terms of earnings, productivity, and let's take, for example, per capita, right? So I think Sri Lanka's per capita is just below $4,000, right? And so we are not going to stand still, right? We might be stuck as a country maybe for the next 3 to 6 months, but we will get going after that, right? And as we start progressing, and maybe when we get to, let's say, $5,000 or $6,000, right, per capita, if you take Thailand, which is currently, I think, $7,000 per capita roughly, the market, the possibility or the potential of the insurance market is 6 times that of Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka can, if we get to $5,000 or $6,000 per capita, this market can be 6 times bigger, right? So Sri Lanka passed, in life insurance, passed 100 billion last year. This year, probably we will have something like a 19% growth, right? And so, like we said, pandemic has brought about awareness, right? Now it's not something that you will put aside, right? So even in tough times, I think the first thing I will do is pay my insurance premium, right? Because I don't want my kids, right, and my dependents to be stuck if something happens to me, right? Plus, if something happens to my health, I also want that expense to be met. So I think near term, although there is pressure on disposable income, the what do you call, the that is around us in terms of the environment will make sure that we need to have ourselves protected, right, in terms of insurance. So therefore, I think we are looking at the next 2 or 3 years of strong growth in life and health insurance. And beyond that, I think the per capita story will take over. And there again, once again, we see a huge potential for life and health insurance in the country.
Thanks, Ifti. So, see, an interesting question is asked by Ruth. She actually works in Seychelles. She works in the government of Seychelles. She says, how do you lead a company when policy changes are happening frequently? I mean, it's a very interesting question, because I had a artificial intelligence company out of Bangalore, and I operate Sri Lanka, Maldives, and Pakistan. Now, you have so much of consistency in Maldives. We have about, I think, 40-45% penetration of the AI platform, which actually does brand mapping. You really can understand how AI can work to track, and it's easy to work because the policies are consistent. Similarly, in Pakistan, AI is used very much in the food industry.
Okay.
Now in Sri Lanka, now, I mean, because you cannot remit any money out of the country, we are stuck. So the question is that you've done so much of business, but you can't remit any money out of the country. So how do you start working? So the question is that, okay, maybe you might look at a BPO operation, kind of thing. So backend, so that you pay for your services in that end, and you protect your. So how do you react if the how do you plan and show growth in an organization where policy changes are happening every day?
Yeah. So yeah, it's another one of those challenges, and another item that needs to be overcome. So as we have said, I'll relate this response to insurance and SoftLogic Life. So we've grown 25% annually for the last 3 years. Come Easter attack, come COVID wave 1, COVID wave 2, we've grown, right? And that is the credit to the people in the company, the teams that who have actually delivered these results. But there is also another part in terms of the regulations and what's going on around us. So I think here what is very important is to have a very good dialogue with the regulator, right? So insurance is regulated by the Insurance Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka. And so as an industry body, we have the Insurance Association of Sri Lanka. I'm currently the sitting president of the ISL. And I must say the dialogue that we have with the regulator has been something that is very admirable, right? I mean, they understand the issues that are faced. They understand what difficulties there are. They are always looking at it also from the point of the policyholder, which I think as a regulator they need to do, right? And whatever that has come up, I think through dialogue, through discussion, and through working towards solutions, we have managed to resolve this, right? And I mean, yes, everything is not easy, and there are difficult things, but by and large, right, I would say if you look for solutions, right, you will get those solutions. And I think the other important thing is not to look for a fight, right? Not to look to get into arguments and issues and start arguing with each other and blaming each other, etc. I think that's utter waste of time, right? I think you need to look at the solutions, and if you are, I think, credible, right? If the other party understands you and knows that you are genuinely looking for a solution, I think you will always find that solution. And yes, it might not happen 100% of the time, but we are eternal optimists, right? And so that's the way we look at things.
I think interesting question coming from Surani. She's the head of HR in a company, apparel company. She says, what changes in HR strategy you made during COVID, as meeting face-to-face is key to selling services? Interesting.
Yeah. So, Rohanta, it's the obvious answer is technology, right? And here, I think the response is about how you marry technology with people, right? Because at the end of the day, she's absolutely right. Insurance is sold. Insurance is normally not bought, not purchased. People don't rush out and buy insurance, even if there's a pandemic. Someone has to go sell it to them, and then they will purchase it, right? So as soon as COVID hit, it was work from home. Because we are very strong on the IT, we link that up very fast. And then in terms of reaching out to our customers, in terms of providing them solutions, it was providing our sales teams with the right level of technology And it can be a simple WhatsApp message, it's a video, some PowerPoint slides, it is an Excel sheet where, or it's some kind of app where they can feed in some details, provide them those that, give them the training, right? And allow them to adapt to those requirements, and they will do the job, right? And see, I have also another very interesting, point on this technology, because a lot of us think that as soon as it means technology, that you have to go out and buy iPads and various tabs and give your sales force. We had a situation where I think the first 100 odd advisors, we gave them devices, right? And you wouldn't believe it. There were all kinds of problems, right? It's not working. It's not working offline. There is no 4G. Why can't we upload this? Why can't we upload that? Then what we did was we did a simple calculation. A device costs so much, and if we take it over 18 months period, right? We divide that by the number of proposals that need to submit, and we told them, we don't care where you get your device from, right? We will establish the security protocols, but we will pay you for each proposal that comes online. We will pay you X amount of rupees. That's it. Within 3 months, we went to 80-90%, right? And as I said, now we are at 100%. So I think sometimes it's some kind of incentive, right, that you need to put. Sometimes it's to say that there is also no going back, or there is no other way, but there are ways and means to do it, and you have to find a clever way of getting it done.
If I just take you back, 2020, 21st of March, government said we are closing Sri Lanka down.
Yeah.
And you are there in the morning, getting up, you can't travel anywhere. Nobody can travel. Okay. What went through your mind?
Yes, that was a bit scary. That was quite scary on that day, because it was also my birthday the following day, so I'll never forget that day. Right. But I think what you do is you get your team together, right? And, get everybody to, kind of have a conversation, right? And in that conversation, you will find, people's fears, their doubts, then the positive things that they think of. We can do this, we can do that, we better avoid this one. And I think that getting together and drawing ideas from your leadership team is an excellent way to really understand not only what has to be done, but also the sentiment and the vibe in terms of where we stand. And I think when I look back, I don't think there was ever a time that we felt, oh my goodness, this is good, this is the end of the road, or we are going to be very dramatically impacted, etc., etc. We were always positive, right? We said, yes, it's a tough situation, but we think we can make it better, right? We can do this step 1, step 2, step 3, and without trying to do step 3 immediately, let's do the first one and see how it is working. Then we have confidence that it's going basically in our direction, right? So so looking back, scary times, but I think being positive, having the team around you, being able to have open discussions. We discuss things, so sometimes there's a lot of heated chatter, but we told everyone, there's nothing personal. It's all about the business. It's about the objectives, and I think we've learned to handle things in that way. So we can overcome difficult situations through dialogue, and take things forward.
See, you're running a successful business. I know that you're right now at BMICH going for awards, and normally at every single award, Soft Logic Life has swept away all the awards. So what next?
Yeah. So I think what we've done on the insurance side is quite unique, quite remarkable. We have set up a very nice business proposition. This is very scalable, and I think the world kind of beckons to you, right? And there is the possibility of actually taking this business model outside Sri Lanka. The countries around us, for example, if you take Bangladesh as an example, 160 million people, we have just 22 million, or the Philippines or Vietnam, so there are a lot of places where once you have set up your operation properly, where that the format of this and how it works, right, it becomes, I would say, a very easily kind of copy and paste kind of situation. Yes, there will be local situations, local differences. Everything doesn't work the same. But once you have the confidence of having set up something in a particular manner, to be able to then take it and implement it in another area becomes something very doable. And so at SoftLogic Life, we have as 38% shareholders an entity called Leapfrog. Leapfrog is a global insurance fund. So they can open doors to many markets. We can bring the expertise. So the future is very exciting. The future is very bright. And all that is possible because we've done the hard work on the ground here. We have achieved things. We have set up things. And we have something that we can actually we can take out, and we can hopefully also succeed with the same or similar type of business model, with the same attitude and with the same courage.
Interesting question is coming from Dimot. He works for tobacco. He says, you come from a banking industry, you have revolutionized the insurance industry, you're heading a successful corporate entity, and right now you're having many awards under you. Where do you go from here?
Yeah, so I think I answered part of that with in the previous question. So the world, I think these days is very interesting, right? Technology is changing things. There are new trends emerging. There are new opportunities emerging, and so we think that even from a Sri Lankan financial services perspective, especially on the personal financial side, there's lots of things that can be done, lots of things that can be improved, and I think the sky is the limit, because we have legacy institutions that are full of brick and mortar, that are very difficult to change, right? And I think the time will come very soon when.
Sorry for coming in, but I think he's asking, where do you go from here? I mean, he's an MBA student, so he wants to know where do you go from here?
So I think there's a lot more stuff to be done. It can be in Sri Lanka. It can be in expanding a financial business outside Sri Lanka. And I look forward to all those challenges, right? I think every day is a new beginning. So I think you need to seize every opportunity that is there, look for every possibility that you can achieve. So I'm very encouraged, I'm very enthused, and I'm looking forward to the next challenge. And I think we have already figured out what those challenges are, and looking forward to executing them in the next a couple of years.
Samira from the Staffordshire University, he's studying from Singapore. He's a software engineer, and he's saying, do you believe in Sri Lanka?
Yes, I do. Yeah, we are Sri Lankans. SoftLogic is a Sri Lankan group. I think we have the best entrepreneurship at SoftLogic in the form of our founder and our chairman. And yes, we believe in Sri Lanka. And as you can see, Sri Lankan companies can achieve fantastic things like what SoftLogic has achieved, right? So I think there might be a lot of negativity, there might be policy inconsistency, there might be various other issues. But I think if you pick your business, right, and if you structure it properly, and if you look to serving your customers, right, day in, day out, right, you will always succeed. There is absolutely no way that if you do that properly in Sri Lanka, you will always succeed. To me, right, our customers are very important. So as you can imagine, we are now a sizable company, and when it comes to insurance, there are always, complaints and issues about claim payments, etc. There isn't a single unknown number on my phone that is not answered. That call will always get responded to, right? Even if I can't answer it, someone else will call the number, find out what the issue is. And so at 10 o'clock in the night, sometimes I pick up a call of someone who's in a hospital waiting to be discharged, and we didn't pay a claim or something like that, right? So I think you need to put your heart and soul into the business, right? You cannot always leave it for others to do this, right? So, and if you commit yourself in that manner, I think any organization in Sri Lanka will achieve great results. Yes, there are difficulties around us, but I think we need to believe in our country, and if we do well, only will our country do well. So I think that's the bottom line.
So if you are given another life, what would you do, Ifti?
Well, see, I think all the time the situation or the what's around you is changing, right? And that dictates what you will do. So now if I look at where I started, and when I look, for example, like my son or daughter is starting, it's two completely different worlds, right? And I think so then you have to be guided by the simple things like first of all, I think there is no easy route, right? You need to understand things, you need to learn things, and you really need to know how things happen. So you need to invest in that, right? Whether it's your studies, whether it's your first job, or whether it's your initial stages in your career, right? And then obviously you also need to look at what are the areas that are developing, what are the areas that have potential, and nowadays there's so much of information around that. Uh, and you also need to have kind of a fallback situation so that if A doesn't work, you can go into B, for example. Now, I mean, once again, I've come from banking to insurance. I didn't even know the difference between a life insurance company and a general insurance company at the time that I started on this job, honestly, right? But I mean, today I think I can do a pretty good job in actually explaining, right? Insurance to a lot of folks, right? So I think you have to be yourself, right? You have to understand what's around you, and you have to shape yourself in terms of what around you is moving and changing, and use those dimensions to decide on where you want to go and what you want to do, rather.
I mean, you're a banker, and you know that we have to pay a $6 billion every year for the next 5 years. We know that our bank, our current reserves are at about a 2.3 billion, of which, when you take the swap out, it's about a 1.6 billion. I mean, you know the reality, the writing is on the wall. Okay. I mean, what is your, I mean, if you have to advise the president today, what advice would you give him? I mean, you're a top professional, top banker, and it's asking you, okay, give me unbiased advice to me.
Right. Okay. So yes, I think we know the difficulties that we face, right? And as a country, we have certain obligations that need to be sorted out, right? So I think the first payment on sovereign bonds was $500 billion. The country met that. The next payment coming up is $1 billion in July. And I think I'm very confident that the government or the central bank will actually meet that as well, right? Then I think comes the situation of, what's going on, right? How can this be sustained? And how far can we sustain ourselves? And I think it's to that end that there's a lot of work that's being done by the central bank, I think mainly, and other authorities in terms of trying to restructure our outflows. Right now, all these payment guarantees and buying things on credit, etc., etc. What they're enabling is for our outflows to be kind of staggered, so that our inflows, whether they come from tourism or anything else or some other bilateral arrangement, are structured or matched to meet the outflows, right? So I think what we need is to make sure that within the next maybe 6 to 8 months, that this inflow-outflow situation can be matched, right? Otherwise, I think if it cannot be matched, then you need to go to someone like the IMF, for example, for their assistance. So I think the devil is in the detail. I don't think we see the full picture, right? And if there is the possibility to actually match your inflows and outflows, right? I think we can actually get through this situation. If you look at basically where things have gone wrong last year when it comes to the export-import equation, Clearly the price of oil has actually gone from $20 2 years ago to now $80, right? And all these supply chain disruptions have caused these prices of raw materials, etc., to also increase by 25-30%. So I don't think in terms of consumption per se that there has been an overrun. But I think Sri Lankans can also do with some more belt tightening in terms of especially imported commodities. I personally believe that if we devalue if we let the rupee adjust itself, that might introduce some pain. But at least then people will also realize that certain things that we don't produce in Sri Lanka, that we have to pay that price for that item, because there is no free lunch, right? So just to sum it up, I'm hopeful that within the next 6 months or so, that we will get our kind of act together in terms of especially the forex part, because it's actually the forex part that is the most worrisome and the most important one. You solve that problem, then the rest of it will actually fall into place, right? So let's hope that that is the case, and let's hope that these issues can be resolved fast, and that once again that we can get on towards being on positive territory when it comes to the economy.
Lovely chatting with you, Iftikar Ahmed. I'm so proud. I know it was some time back that I taught you on the MBA program, but what the MBA has kind of brought the best out of you to the country is what we see in year 2022. And I'm so proud to kind of see the kind of journey I've taken. So my final question to you is, if the 21 years old, just starting life, what advice would you give Ifti?
Very simple, very short. Just go for it. That's been my motto. And I think if you see something, if you like it, and if you want to do it, you'll do it with all your heart, right? So you make your plans, you set it up, you prepare yourself, do all those things. But at the end of the day, you must have the will and the determination to go for it, right? You can't be dilly-dallying about it or not sure about it, etc., etc. You must have the courage of your convictions, so that you will go out and get it done.
Iftikar Ahmed, very straight talking, one of the top leaders of Sri Lanka from the private sector today, running not only the company, but revolutionizing the total industry. Fantastic for the youngsters to meet you, Ifti, and I'm so proud of you. Kaushali, over to you. Thank you very much, Ifti.
Thank you very much, Rant. It has been an absolute pleasure. And thank you also for those inspiration in the days gone by. It has really helped. And as you can see, it has made a difference. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Doctor. And thank you very much, Mr. Iftikar. Indeed, have the will, have the determination, and go for it. That's the message. That's the take-home message from Mr. Iftikar Ahmed, one of our renowned business veterans who shared his experience today. So thank you so much for sharing your time today with our students. I'm sure this will be an amazing inspiration and motivation for them to start off from wherever they are. So with that, we come to the end of another session, and we will meet back again in another week. Until then, you do have the will, you do have the determination, so go for it. Good night from here.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Ifti. Bye.
Yes, bye.